Welcome to this digital presentation, Digital Oppdrag. From väldigt intressant och spännande, English, sorry. Very interesting and rich, professionally rich assignment with regards water supply system in rural Tanzania. This assignment was executed by two fantastic students that are now engineers, graduated. Jehan O Sine, are here with us. They are going to present. Before I forget, I need to mention to everybody, we are recording this. Somebody has a mic and very close to that. Thank you, Runa. We are recording this presentation for your information. It is not an option, so I hope you don't leave. It will be very interesting. So I was continue that this assignment that Sina and Jehan prepare as their master thesis. The title, you guys can read it on the screen, a case study of community-driven water supply system development in rural Tanzania. Our partner down there in Tanzania, 4CCP, has been, among other things, monitoring and promoting water supply systems in rural Tanzania in the area of this 4CCP. At the moment, I forgot what the 4CCP exactly means, but it means that in that area, it can converge the four languages, major languages of Africa, as far as I understood. They have been working as humanitarian projects to promote this water supply to the villages around. They have many wells. Some were drilling long time ago, but I will let them introduce themselves and the project. So after Jehan and Sine present, then if we are lucky to have Eliminata and or Ahavi from 4CCP joining us, they may present themselves and the organization a bit, and afterwards will be Rebecca, which was their Eliminata is here. Good. Rebecca, which was their mentor. So Jehan, Sine, the forum is yours. We are keen to hear what you have to say to us.
Thank you, Francisco.
Thank
My
you.
name is Sine.
Yeah, and I'm Jegan.
It's very nice that you all came to hear about our thesis. As Francisco said, this is a thesis revolving around community-driven water supply development in rural Tanzania. And let's see how this works. The presentation will go through first an introduction about the project that we looked into, and then 4CCP will tell you a bit about themselves. And then we will go through the interviews and the data analysis that led to some pathways to development. And we will discuss the expansion of the water system in Dangaida and the water quality in the area before we finish off with discussing remote monitoring and telling you guys how the two systems that we installed worked and our hopes and dreams for remote monitoring in the future. And in the end, we will have a designated spot for questions, but throughout this whole presentation is just come with them at any time. As you can see on the screen, there is our main thesis question, which is all about community-driven development. Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to tell a little bit about the project and the project area. So the project that we followed started in 2014 when the Norwegian Church Aid secured funding for to build solar-powered water wells in Tanzania, among other countries in the world. The Norwegian Teleton project is NRK's TV-aksjon, which is it is also known as. And we visited the Heidam area, or the villages around Heidam area, which has, I think it's 30 solar-powered water wells. That was constructed from 2015 to 2021 by the Norwegian Church Aid, and our partner organization for CCP has been with us, with them throughout the beginning of the projects until still now. And this area has also been visited by previous master thesis students at NTNU, and some of them are here, I see. And before we started in the planning phase of the master thesis, we wanted to make sure that we did something that was needed. So we discussed with 4CCP about their wishes and tasks. And as you can see listed here in the presentation, these were the tasks they prioritized. So the first one was assessed in our master thesis, as well as the second one. And then the third and the fourth were also done through the use of interviews. And the fifth one we didn't manage to complete due to the time and funding of the project. And then the sixth one we also got to touch upon on. Thank you. Yeah, so if we have 4CCP with us, we would like them to tell us a little bit about themselves, if you are able. Eliminata, Ahadi.
I think your mic is muted, Eliminata. Listen.
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, this is Eliminata from 4CCP. We are happy to join you in this presentation. And do you hear us?
Yes.
We hear you. Very good.
Yes, my name is Eliminata from 4CCP. Now I will invite Ahadi to give a short overview about 4CCP and about work have been done with Saine and Jagan, because he was their supervisor. Ahadi, welcome to give a short information about work have been done with Jagan and this Sina.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Good evening, all of you. Okay, my name is Ahadi from 4CCP. We are very happy to have to join this meeting this evening, and we are happy that the work we did for last 2 months have been completed now, and the presentation is ongoing. We are very happy that we see how our work now is going far as we expected previously. Hello.
We hear you well, Ahadi.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Just go ahead.
Okay. So maybe I can give up a short introduction about the 4CCP. Or it's only a matter of we introduce ourselves?
Yes.
Okay, yes, please go ahead.
Okay.
Most of us, just for your information, most of us are muted, so we don't interfere. So just go ahead. We follow up. I guess you will notice we freeze, but just go ahead. It is not that easy to have a continued interaction, so we wait until the end.
Okay. So now, maybe now I can explain a bit about what is 4CCP and what are we doing. 4CCP is now it's an organization based on rural area. This organization work with about 40 plus villages in Kalama, Bulu, and Hanan district. And the organization was established in 2006. This organization was the previous was the sister project from Haidom Lutheran Hospital. But luckily enough, in 2010, the organization was become independent. And now we have our own body and administration and everything. But previously we are depending on Haidom Lutheran Hospital as a sister project. So what are we doing now? What we are doing a variety of activities, but the organization was registered under two umbrella. The first umbrella is the organization covers cultural issues, and the other thing is the organization covers the issue of developmental issues, the community development issues. So the name 4CCP, what is that meaning? The name 4CCP is Four Corners Cultural Program. That's an acronym of the word Four Corners Cultural Program. And why four? Because the organization is protecting and making development of the four linguistic group of Africa. And that is Cushitic, Khoisan, Nilotic, and Bantu. So here in the site now, we are protecting the culture of these four linguistic groups that you can find it in Africa. But also we saw it's very important. It's not important to cover only protection of the culture, but also to have culture for development. And now, under the issue of development, now we are doing a lot of things. The first thing is we have economic empowerment program. That is, we have we create village community banks at villages. We teach the community about the issue of entrepreneurships. The other thing is we teach the student on the issue of hygiene. But we have the project of ensure the community livelihood with a lot of project about, we have a project of veg, we have a project of maize, corn, but also we have the project of ensure the coexistence of peace in the community. And here we have the legal officer who is helping the community about the legal issues, land rights, and the other thing. Also, we have the water project, and now it's a matter now bring us on the board. We have water project, and we implemented the water project in more than 40 villages in 3 districts, that is Mbulu, Hanan, and Bukalama. And this project was implemented by the support of Norwegian Church Aid. With their project of WASH project from 2015 to 2019, but also after the accomplishment of this kind of the project from Norwegian Church Aid, we had another support from individuals from Norway. They supported the community on the issue of water because the project was there, but the problem is still persisting in the community. So we had the support from the individual donors, but we had the support from the Norwegian Church Aid on the issue of water project. until now we are talking. I think on the presentation maybe they will touch on. Until now we are talking, the problem is still there, although we have more than 40 boreholes around the villages. We have the problem persisting in the schools. Schools, they need water, but no water at all. So maybe on the discussion now, they will come up with their view, and I will come up again on cementing on some of the point. But shortly, that is what is 4CCP and what is being about.
Super, thank you so much, Ale. Very nice. Then if Ahadi, if you're gone through all you planned, hey Ahadi, I'm giving you access now. Then we will continue. The field work was in Tanzania, as said, for about 4 weeks. And during this time, we conducted 93 interviews and tested 28 water points. We also installed 2 remote monitoring systems. And a typical day in the field was Ahadi and James, who was with us every day and were translating for us, among other things. They come pick us up at around 9 Musungu time, which means 9 sharp. And then we went out, met villagers, talked to the council, which is the water committee. And often we talked to the village leader and said hi to introduce ourselves before we went in to look and observe the water point and interview the users. Then we probably did round 2 and took water samples with us home. Then we tested them in the evening. That was a typical day in the field. Yegan, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the interviews and what we used the data for. So we, as mentioned earlier, in 4CCP's wishes, they wanted us to collect data on the community needs and the council performance. And to do that, we made questionnaires that we brought up with us to Tanzania. And then while creating these questionnaires, we based the questions on sustainability indicators that we found in literature. We wanted to do this so that we could, the answers that we got back could be used to assess the sustainability of the water system. And we also wanted to use the answers and the indicators as to assess which conditions or factors that are needed in order to reach development. So, and of course, there's a lot of different factors of why development can happen or might not happen. And we wanted to focus on the sustainability indicators and use them as conditions because we wanted to identify a sustainable pathway or sustainable solution to development. And to do so, we used an analysis method called qualitative comparative analysis, which is basically a method where you create a criteria scheme for each of the conditions you include in the analysis, and then you score the different villages that are involved, and then you also give them a score for development. So you have to define development, and then you have a lot of conditions that you think might affect if the development happens or not. And then you run it through a software, and then you get some pathways which consist of which conditions are necessary and which or which combination of conditions that are necessary in order to reach development. So from our analysis, we got the result that user acceptability, or in other words, community satisfaction with the water system, was one of the most important conditions to have in order to reach development. This also corroborates with others community-driven development literature that also says that community satisfaction and engagement is an important factor in order to reach development. We also found that community participation was a important condition, and in participation I mean participating in decision making and attending meetings on the water points. And those two were the most important conditions, but we also found that it was not possible to reach development by only having one of these conditions. It needed to be a combination of different conditions in order to reach development, and the one we recommended, or we thought was the most robust one, was included community satisfaction, financial durability, storage and supply reliability, and the absence of alternative water sources. And with that, I mean that having no other water sources was seen as a driver for development, but it's probably not a good thing to not only have one source, but having that tend to drive the communities to develop their own water system. So that was what we did with the interviews. Thank you.
In Tangaida was a village that had already developed their water systems, which means that they've expanded their system to the Tangaida school. I think here, yeah. Which was a kilometer away from the well. And they wanted to expand to two other villages, Dorovdo and Herbush, which was 2 kilometers and 3 kilometers away. Because water access is very much about proximity to the water source. So having water closer is very important. And so we did a simple simulation of if the pump was able to lift the water so far and so high in the EPANET, and it seems like the pump is able with quite good margins, but it's very important to have a big dimension on the pipes to decrease friction as much as possible. Also, for supply and storage reliability, it's very important to have tanks at each sub-village. Even though tanks are quite expensive and it's a big investment, we think it's really important for the development to be self-reinforcing. And with that we mean that if the expansion of a system is done in a way that provoke or probe even more expansion and even more development, and tanks would be a very important part of that. And also to just secure that water is available when people need it. This system, even though this expansion would increase the overall storage with almost double it, it will still only be 9 liters per day per person in this village, and this is the village only water source, only improved water source. So but it's still an improvement from around 3 liters per day per person, which is the situation right now. Yeah, so it's very little water for a human. I think the survival limit is recommended to be 20 liters per day of improved water. Yes. Water quality, Jegan.
Yeah, so we also did a couple of water quality measurements, and I'm just going to list off the parameters that we tested for. So we did conductivity and temperature measurements, as well as fluoride, nitrate, nitrite, phosphate, chlorine, iron, pH, and E. coli. So according to the wishes of 4CCP, they wanted us to focus on fluoride and E. coli measurements. So fluoride has been a big issue based on previous reports and also based on previous master thesis done in the area and the measurements they did. And it's well known that this part of Africa is located close to a large fluoride deposit in the East African Great Rift Valley. And so it's a continuous issue that there's too much fluoride in the drinking water. And in terms of E. coli, we the previous thesis and did not test for that, and so we wanted to see, and they wanted us to do a bacterial contamination test, and we thought it would be interesting to see, since fluoride isn't since E. coli isn't usually found in groundwater, it was interesting to see if activities surround in the close area to the water wells were affecting the quality of the water. So from our results, we found that several of the areas had high E. coli and nitrate levels. So with regards to the E. coli, we mostly believe that this was due to activities close to the water wells, or by mixing rainwater and borehole water. We also got some high levels of E. coli, and with nitrate, we also believe that this was due to either human and animal activities or agricultural runoff from crops nearby the water source. So what we recommended was to have implement a management plan where the villages learn about these different parameters and why they are important, and maybe they would implement some restrictions on what you can do close to the water wells. And while in the field, it became clear that we needed to somehow give this information that we were gaining through testing and measurement back to the communities. So we created water quality reports for each of the water points where we sampled water, and then which consisted of the measured values, a little explanation of each water quality parameter, and some notes, not treatment suggestions per se, but just some notes on the reasons behind why maybe there could be high levels of some contaminants in the water. And we gave this back to 4CCP, who are translating them and distributing them to the stakeholders that need them, like the villages or the district engineers. Yeah.
Finally, I will tell a bit about remote monitoring, and we implemented two systems which monitored in Endagacini and Basniagwe, which monitored pump hour, pump time, amount of time the pump is on, last pump hour, ampere, and the water level in Basniagwe. The systems, the goal of this was to see if a cheap solution could be sufficient, and would if the cell coverage is good enough. And one of the systems transmitted very frequently, as it should, the one in Basonyagwe had not so good reception, so it didn't work quite as well. So we also had a lot of problems with the sensors and disturbance. But all in all, the systems transmitted as they should, and some valuable data was gathered. And we used ThingSpeak as you can see them here. ThingSpeak as like software, which make it possible for several stakeholders to have access. And the whole, like, this is an area with very bad roads, very long distances, and very few technicians. So the hope for remote monitoring has shown in other similar conditions to decrease downtime at the wells, which is very important because most of the villages only have one improved water source. So when the pump isn't working correctly or something is wrong, this is quite critical. So reducing the downtime is very important, but it demands a lot of investment, and right now with so little water coverage in this area, it will probably not be something that the district engineer will prioritize at this time. But due to the long distances, it could be useful in the future. And that, yes. And lastly, we want to know if anyone has any questions to anything we've talked about. Maybe Rebecca, you could you wanted to say some words. Maybe you could do that now.
I can, and then if somebody's having questions, they could think about them while I speak. My name is Rebecca. I was the mentor of Synne and Egan. I was in Tanzania with them for, I think, 10 days. And for my own master thesis in 2018, I was also working with 4CCP in the exactly same area. So I think it's very exciting to see how far the projects of NCA, Norwegian Church Aid, and 4CCP has gotten. When I was there 5 years ago, there were only hand pumps. There were one solar-powered system, but only hand pumps. And now when we were there, it was only solar power systems. And the people living in the villages were very happy. But I think there's still a long way to go, as Synne and Egan has experienced, and they've collected that data about what isn't working and what is working. So I think it's very, very exciting and important work. I don't know if there's any other questions from the participants, or if you have something to say, Ahadi or Eliminata, about the presentation and the results.
Yeah, maybe.
Did you? I think our meeting leader, Francesco. Oh, Ahadi, if you want to say something, I mute myself. Go on.
Yes.
Seems like we have some. Yeah, try again. Sorry.
Yes, maybe I can add something over there.
I think if Eliminata maybe turns off the volume on her presentation, then there won't be feedback when Hadi speaks.
Yes, I think you're right, Sine. I'm stepping in for Francisco. He's in the car, so problems with the network. But if you, Hadi and Eliminata, figure out the sound, I think the thing is to just cut the sound from the computer if you are in the same room. But meanwhile, I can just say a huge thank you to both Jegen and Sine, and also Rebecca, who have oh, there we have Francesco back. I'm just like filling a bit the gap because I really would like people who've seen the presentation and have small or big questions, both to how you worked and what the results and the master thesis, but also if there are any questions to for CCP, for Cultural Corner project. Yes, to Ahadi and Eliminata, you're most welcome. We also can use the chat. I saw now that we have a question here from Marin. Marin, do you want to say it or I can just do it? Otherwise you interrupt me. The question is, when and where will the thesis be available online? That's an easy question.
Yeah, so it will be available online on NTNU Open after it's been graded. So that's probably in September, I think, September, October, or October.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But we will, we'll have to discuss because you guys are getting a copy at EUG. So yeah, have to come back to that actually.
Yeah. EUG.
Can I join a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was not able to talk before. Is it possible to distribute the thesis internally to EUG members, or is it possible to send us a reminder in September when the thesis is available online? I would like to read it, obviously.
That's great to hear, Mark. I suppose it's possible to distribute it. I don't know how that's usually done in EUG, but we have like this email list of people we're gonna send it to. So that could definitely be arranged. I don't know how EUG does this, but yeah.
I can say what we normally do because after an assignment with the people in working life, we immediately put it out when the technical report is finished. But of course, with master thesis is something else. I mean, it's okay for you to give it to the university first and see what happens and stuff. So then we postponed it a bit. So we put it out when you have received your grade and everything. Then it's official and out, and you can find it on our webpage with among all the other assignments we had. But to your question, Marin, of course, we could organize so that internally in the technical groups, which you are part of as well, it could be possible to read. So I think that is Francesco, who is the Quafix center of information to this one as a project leader. Don't you agree, Francisco? I don't know if you hear me.
Yes, Heidi, I was typing a question. We can try to facilitate this. I mean, it's a standard procedure for the process with NTNU. So I think that's what it dictates. When the text is available, but we can try to send a notification, guys, when we know.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Is there another question there, or can I ask my own?
There's come one from Elise Skattum.
Yeah,
And she
in the
says,
chat.
yeah, she says that she's on the subway, so she's using the chat. And as master student, what has been the most valuable takeaway for you from this formal master thesis? Yegan, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. It's been really great to get like a overall understanding of the basic levels of everything. It's kind of since the things we learn at NTNU is always almost always directed to the Norwegian conditions and water system in Norway, and you kind of look past the basics of it all. And I think this form of master thesis where you actually can go out and see what is needed on the world and like a global perspective. It's really great, and I've learned a lot about this in doing so, I think.
Yeah, I agree with Yegan about like this kind of master letting you being able to learn so much more than just about the master. Yeah, so you learn more about going into a different culture and working in different environments, and also get a different perspective on water as a resource, or how we live and how the world works. So that's really nice. Yeah, I learned a lot.
Thank you.
Okay,
I give
thank
that.
you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Heidi. Also, if I may, I mean, I don't know, I'm not able to see everybody. Is there any more questions? No, not in the chat. So, okay. I have a question more or less on the same channel, but from a different perspective. Is it possible to summarize to one or two what is the biggest challenges for achieving the objective of every people having access to clean water over there in the region? Is it maybe cultural? Is it social, where both politics and cultural attitudes of people? Is it just lack of money for implementing resources? Is it organization, coordination, leadership? What can be the one or two most biggest or largest challenges for every person in the region over there to be able to have accessible water?
Yeah, I would
So-
like to say what the district engineer and for CCP said about this, and they both emphasize the need for more money. And I think that's maybe the most important thing, because the water is mainly coming from groundwater, and boreholes is expensive. Both for like new boreholes, but also for repairs and district engineers and management and all of this. Yegan, what do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think funding is the biggest thing, but from what I learned, it's also I think the communities themselves sit on a lot of information, like a lot of knowledge and information, and with the right guidance from the higher levels, maybe from district levels, they are more than capable of managing their own water systems in a sustainable way. And I think there's like it's also like proven with some of the water systems being developed by the communities themselves. So I think it's probably more like in terms of guidelines or the right type of help for the communities to like manage their own water systems.
So is it both the amount of water? I mean, money will be translated into drilling wells and making more larger quantity of water available to them. So is it water? Am I understanding correctly, Sina, from your comment, your answer? That is water. And then in addition to that, is the social organization about it, that they themselves locally are able to organize themselves to extract as much as possible from the water, because if the water were there, and from what I understand from Sina, then still there will be a need for some sort of political will or institutional, administrative, and even to the individuals' attitudes and behaviors, culture there, to be able to have a system that allows them to actually take access and have the water available and reachable to them. So is it these two will be, in your opinion, the main goals? Am I understanding you guys correctly? Quantity of water and then, yeah?
Yeah, follow-up support from district level for the water committees, I think is very, or from other organizations, I think is very important for like major repairs and stuff like that, because the water committees are very capable and they receive some training and stuff like that, but major repairs, they do not have the technical skills or the spare parts or like anything of that. But mostly money. I think. Yeah, but we do not. Yeah, sorry.
No, yeah, and also it will be you have to, of course, assess the actual quantities of water that are available in the groundwater and find out how much you can actually abstract sustainably. And so even with funding, you need to also make it sustainable in that way. But yeah, I think if they're given the right tool, I think they can. And I think they're more than capable of managing the water systems by themselves.
So, am I understanding correctly that at the moment we do not know, they do not know whether the natural water resources are sufficient for the population in the region? Nobody knows.
Or it's a data gap. No one has, and that's why remote monitoring could be useful, because there is very little data about the groundwater level in this region, and also there are some we don't know how climate change will affect this. Some journals say that the water level will increase due to climate change. Some say it will decrease in this area, in the groundwater. So we do not know, and there is very little measurements done on this right now.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, I guess I hope this will help you guys, Hadi and Eliminata over there, also, that as input to perhaps future actions to see how can make it more effective, the distribution of the water resources you guys have available over there out of the work that Sina and Jagan have made. Any other questions, comments? Anybody? One at a time, one by one, please. All right. I guess most people is eager to go out to the sun or to the water. I don't know if it's raining where you are. Well, if there are no more comments or questions, I guess we can only say thank you very much to 4CCP. Oh, somebody raised the hand. Who is? I'm not able to see, but whoever raised the hand, please go ahead. Rebecca, go ahead, please.
No, I don't think it was me. I was just trying to figure out who it was, but I think they lowered their hand. And then Heidi clapped.
Speak. Ahadi.
Yeah, Hadi can speak.
Somebody goes into a loop here. I need somebody to mute their mics because it's going into a
Yes.
thank you.
Can comment to some of the issues?
Yes.
Yeah, we have the issue of underground water, the data, the issue of sustainabilities, the project sustainabilities. Maybe I can talk something over on the issue now.
Okay, please. We have a few minutes.
Yes, it's true that we don't have exactly data on the amount of underground water that we have, because the landscape is not so much good. It's some hilly, some very good landscape, so it's not easy. It needs high technology and technicals, and to our side it's not very easy because we're in a very remote area. We are not in urban area. And also even the government, I don't know if they have such kind of the data, because we visited district engineers and we sort out some issues on the underground levels and the data if they have, but even the government doesn't have now exactly the data. That's why before we start the project, we do a survey on, and we know the amount of underground water of the particular area on the particular project. And the other issue is on the issue of the challenges. The challenges, as they said, the most challenge we have is about the finance, because even the government to do this kind of the project, but they cannot afford to reach each and every Tanzanian to get at least water in their area, because the policy says the government has to distribute water at least 400 meters from household, and something which is quite different for what we see now. But the other challenge, we don't have other challenge, because the community themselves, they are aware about the project. The government and the policies are supporting the donors project, and also the community is ready to contribute, top up, where if they get some amount of the support, the community is ready to top up so that they can accomplish the project. I think the issue is how now we can influence the community even to contribute themselves to top up what they are getting from the donors, because we did it through Norwegian Church Aid. Norwegian Church Aid provides some, then we mobilize the community, they provide some, then we combine, we accomplish the project. So
I see. Okay, I see. Thanks for explanation.
Yes. I think the other thing is quite quite clear. The issue of reporting, remote monitoring, the issue of Tangaida, E. coli, and nitrate. But maybe I can talk a bit about the distribution of water report.
We have a couple of minutes.
Yes, we tried to distribute the water report to the district officials because they know how to interpret the English words. But now we are trying to interpret and the report so that we can distribute to the water committee, because most of them
We seem to have lost you, Ahadi, if you can hear me.
Yes, I said the issue of the water report. We got the water report from the Jagan and Sina, and we distributed them to the district engineers.
Okay.
But we didn't afford to distribute to the water committees on the particular borehole project, simply because most of them, they don't know English. So we needed to try to interpret the report, to translate the report into Swahili, so that now we can distribute them and they can understand. So we are now about to accomplish the translation so that we can distribute the report to the water committees around the village.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, thank you very much for the good presentation.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Hadi, for the work you're doing.
Okay. Any last question or comment? We are approaching to the end of the allotted time for the presentation, but if somebody is having a question or a comment, please.
Yes, Francisco, I just take the word. Just would like to say thank you both to Synne and Jan and Ahadi and Eliminata from for CCP that you were able to join us also. I know it's a lot of difficulties with the network. This was very valuable, and I'm really looking forward, as Maureen said, to read the report as well. So thank you. And I also will put out in chat just to remind you guys that after the summer, when we're back again, the 17th of August, we have our next digital report. And that is about building of, in Norwegian, it's called Flerbrukshall for Ekomoyo Educational Center in Kenya. Yes, but thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for joining.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you, everybody. Again, CCP for allowing us to collaborate with you guys, and Jegan and Synne that move everything from the scratch to get the project going, their participation. Rebecca supporting us also. We just say, yeah, very, very thankful for all your efforts, guy. God willing, some people will be very, very happy and benefited from your work. So without any more, then have a very nice summer, and we wait to have the report in our hands and see the progress of this. Have a nice afternoon, everybody. Evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.